Alright, Trauma. Big shout out to Patrick Chan, Damon Prisk, and Rudy Wong for providing a lot of the photos that you are seeing here. Of course, also thanks to the community for making sure that they're keeping up to date with our content, subscribing. I just hit 250 subscribers, I believe, yesterday. So big shout out to everybody that's being a part of the Trial Mob. And let's go ahead and keep growing the community. But let's go ahead and break down this big Joytoy photo dump that I got here, breaking down a lot of their upcoming pre-order stuff. All right, let's get it. All right, Trial Mob, we have a really big photo dump here of a lot of things that are going to be coming down the pipeline. This is basically no longer prototypical stuff. This is now what the final production model is going to look like for a lot of their new stuff. And here we have some really nice photos. I don't know if this guy's been given a legit name, though. At the top of this is the Rising Rigo, so could be that. It's a phenomenal looking piece. Definitely, I like the fact that it's got the skinnier body, but let's go ahead and run through the photos. So here we can really see that basically he will be getting a shotgun and a pistol, and I believe later I'll show you the pistol does look a little different. He's a little less armored, which I believe I mentioned before, and he's bare-chested under, but he does have the robotic arms, so I like all of those details. And obviously the armor that he has on the chest is a little bit different. Now somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but this guy physically is their biggest guy that they've made so far. Not with the armor, not with all the other stuff, just physically speaking, he has the largest body. Now on top of that, the vest that he is wearing, as far as I can tell, unique to this figure. The belt that he has, unique to this figure. The pistol, now that I'm getting a better view of it here, does look like what we've gotten before, so that's not new. But again, the body itself is also unique. So while this does have a lot of the same stuff we've seen before, mostly unique looking figure. Obviously you can get him in some good action poses, and this is actually something that I like. As far as I can tell, he's able to hold the shotgun pretty well, and he is aiming down sight with, as far as I can tell, absolutely no problem, so that's something that is good. And then from articulation standpoint, it does look like he definitely gets past 90 degrees in the arms, and that's exactly what we want. Now here's the only downfall that I see, and I believe when Skellywags was covering this, he feels the same way. I don't really like this version of the jetpack where it kind of sticks out like this. I'm not saying it looks bad, it definitely doesn't look bad, it just not the Buzz Lightyear look that I want on my figures. I kind of wish we would have gotten maybe more with the heavy cavalry guys would have gotten, but still overall I do like the aesthetic, and even though I don't like the wings, it does look pretty cool, and I'm not going to say no to some wings and some jetpacks to have this guy flying around. Now here's when it starts to get real juicy. I haven't seen this sword before, so this was a complete surprise to me when I saw it in the promotional photos, and this looks sweet, man. I love this sword. It looks absolutely badass. It's really long. It comes up almost to his upper chest, so it's definitely a big piece, and as far as I can tell, he holds it perfectly fine. This is going to be very nice, especially considering that the gold on the sword matches the armor that he's wearing. Seeing him with all of it together, right, the armor, the jetpack, the sword in his hand, this is really going to be a badass piece. I am hoping that we get maybe another version where he's maybe a little bit more armored up. Maybe not this one, of course, maybe somebody else, but the same buck, with, you know, maybe a hammer, who knows, maybe something that's a little different. But for a first try or first go with this figure, I'm fairly impressed. Now, thanks to that, basically the fact that this has a bit less armor than some of the other guys, his articulation does seem to be pretty good, because we have him in a kneeling position here, and it looks fairly natural. And again, it's because he's able to get those legs more articulated, because he doesn't have armor around them like some of the heavy cavalry do. Nice dual wielding shot right here, looking pretty menacing. And then this is the bare-chested look that we've seen before, so this is what we had been basically shown when I first started showing you guys this. That sort of Terminator look that he had going on. I love it. I think it looks great. I wonder if he is kind of in the same vein as a Terminator. We don't get enough lore on these guys, or at least lore that's easily available for us. So that's something that I definitely would like to see. And I am considering myself, if that there is lore available, that I might make videos on that. Let me know if that's something that you guys would want to hear. And then here we just have a nice clean back shot. And then right here we get to see kind of everything that he comes with. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen that like briefcase thing he has going on, the container he has going on. I haven't seen that before, so this is something that's new. But you do get an overall view of everything he comes with: the armor, the helmet, the shotgun, the pistol, different hands, the sword, and then of course that container that I mentioned that I don't think we've seen before, but correct me if I'm wrong. Now for more Joytoy releases, look at these good boys. We're getting some canine units. So this right here, it's just named Military Dog, but I imagine we are getting at least a 2 set. And they look great. They have other things that can be put onto them, which is very nice, as you can tell, those satchels. Or they can be with obviously nothing on, just the regular dog as they come. Our articulation here is going to be fairly impressive. As you can tell, these dogs have a lot of articulation here, right? We have the one on the right looking pretty far down, and the other one in a perfectly fine neutral pose, but it seems to be there's a lot going on here. This is just absolutely adorable. I mean, obviously it's cool, but this is absolutely adorable that we're getting dogs that can do this level of articulation, right? That you can have them doing little tricks and little stances. That's really badass, and it definitely is going to be something that you're going to want to add. Though I don't think these are futuristic dogs. These will probably go with like some of the modern U.S. military stuff that Joytoy is about to drop. Even the legs can come up very far, like if they're going to scratch their ear. I think that's pretty badass, and I'm going to imagine that they do have articulation in the center of the torso. At least that's the vibe I'm getting. But I think definitely if you want military dogs and you want them to go with your modern stuff that's going to be coming from Joytoy, these two are going to be a must to add to your set. And potentially you can even add a whole pack. It'll be really dope to see what else they come out with now that we know that they're bringing, you know, animals into the fray. Now I know I recently covered this bad boy. This is the Mech 5, the heavy trajectory type. So I imagine we are going to see different versions of it. But these were all the solicitations on this specific figure. So as you can tell, I wasn't aware before, or maybe I did see this before, but it does come with 2 Gatling guns. That's insane. On top of that, as you can tell, he does come with the mech itself does come with like rockets on the side. Now I imagine these are extras that you put onto them. They're not stored necessarily directly onto the mech, which is perfectly fine, but this heavy guy looks absolutely phenomenal. Is definitely something that I am very much so considering getting. I've never bought a mech before, but this could definitely be my first one, especially if it is coming with that pilot, because this pilot is definitely something that I definitely want to buy. If they come out with just a single pack, I'll probably end up buying him for sure, but with the mech, you know, I'm gonna have to wait and see. Now this nice rear shot really shows you all the detail that comes with these guys, the jetpacks, everything that we see here. And actually now I'm thinking, are those the rockets that I was just telling you guys don't come on the figure? Or that orange portion right there by the shoulders, do they basically come out? If anybody knows the answer to that, or has already bought one, or you know, has seen the prototypes and could give me more information, by all means post it in the comments. Now again, I've been talking to a few people in the comments about whether or not these guys can stand on one leg. And I just wanted to give a shout out to those guys for letting me know that yes, in fact, these guys right here can stand on one leg. It is pretty badass. I believe it was Dem Guts and Cregan227 who were telling me that these guys can actually pose really well. And so that is something that we do see here, as I mentioned, that you know, these, as you can tell here, this is a big guy. I'm sure he's heavy, but here he is standing literally on one leg, fairly posing. Though I imagine this isn't necessarily a hard pose to hit on one leg, but still, it shows a lot of what the figure can do. Here we just have a few more action shots. Pretty cool looking overall. I am now convinced that yes, those rockets that you see on the side do in fact just kind of basically rotate behind. But what's also cool that I'm just noticing now is that they have missiles inside of them, so that they open up more to basically show us some missiles that it can shoot out. What would really be dope is that if they really could shoot out, if they were like, let's say, spring loaded. I highly doubt they're going to do that, especially at this size, but still the fact that you can at least even make it look like he's shooting missiles out, that's pretty hardcore. And then right here at the end, we do have basically everything that the mech is going to come with. I find it absolutely incredible, the fact that, you know, in my head, I wonder, like, how do they make these mechs? And then when I see that they are just this basic skeleton that just has a basic amount of articulation and that everything you see is something that can be taken off, is phenomenal. I've never bought a mech before, as I've mentioned 1,000 times. And the fact that all this can come off of it, look at this. Like, if I was doing a review, and I would definitely do a review for you guys, I would have to hit every single one of these things by itself and then put it on the figure just in real time to show you guys how it's done, because this is just a phenomenal looking piece. And then of course here we have the figure himself with everything that he's going to come with. And here's the deal, so this is the one where that pistol I don't believe we've seen before. I believe that belt is a little new. We've seen that general shape of the chest armor, which is nice. Again, I do wish he was not bare chested. I might paint in like a black shirt under or something, you know, short sleeve, but just something under. Or maybe I'll leave it like this if I were to get it, but I definitely want this look. I definitely want this figure. And that assault rifle that he's holding, that's badass. I really like the shape of that. It's like futuristic, but not so out of this world that it's like not believable. And I really like this aesthetic, guys. I think this is definitely something I want to get my hands on, at least this guy. So if anybody buys the Mech and doesn't want the pilot for A or B reason, let me know, because I'll probably cop that one off you guys. All right. Alright guys, and now switching back over to prototype. So here we have what's most likely going to be updated US military figures. So this is probably what you're going to have with those military dogs that I showed you earlier. And these are looking really badass with that newer buck that I mentioned, where we do have slightly broader shoulders, smaller crotch pieces with larger thigh pieces that will allow you to get much better articulation in terms of overall posing, you know, the kneeling positions, things like that. So here we have a bit of more of a close-up of one of them, and then as you can tell, he does come with these goggles. That's actually a really dope look. I imagine that with those goggles, that means that either the goggles themselves are removable, or we're going to have different heads that are going to come with them. But I cannot wait to see what these guys are going to look like just painted normally. I was trying to get the original Delta Force stuff, but now I've decided and been convinced by a few of the Facebook members to wait for these guys, because these guys obviously look pretty badass. Now here we have, I believe, you know, this might be the exact same one. So here's just another look at that figure. And then here we have one of the other guys on the side, and as you can tell, it comes with this giant backpack. So I imagine that's not only for him. I imagine that there's two other backpacks you can probably put on the other guy. So there's going to be a variety of different equipment, and as you can tell, these guys look just incredibly realistic. And I do hope that articulation is not going to be an issue, which I don't believe it will be, because as you can tell, they have large wrists, which are going to allow for, you know, not the greatest visual look of the hands, but a lot of range in the articulation in the hands. So that should allow for some really nice basically aiming down sight, which is something that is not easy to do with all of the figures from Joytoy. Now this one right here, I feel caught me by surprise. I may have covered it before, but if I didn't, this is one of the maintenance, basically one of the secret figs that you can get with them. They come with like a mystery figure, and I guess this is one of them. I'm not exactly sure what she's supposed to be maintaining in this uniform, but yeah, this is something that you can get, and it's pretty interesting. Regardless of what you might be purchasing this one for, or if you were to get this one, this looks like something that would be straight out of Planet Green Valley. So if you are collecting that kind of stuff, I wouldn't be surprised if you can just slap this right on top of her and basically have yourself a Planet Green Valley figure. So that is something that might be pretty dope, and if you are able to get this one, articulation does look fairly decent, and I'm sure that there are other pieces that you can put onto her to make her look more like what her role would suggest. Though I will ask, correct me if I'm wrong, but is that real hair? I shouldn't say real hair, but is that like real fibers or something, or is it just that the way that they painted it in looks pretty realistic? And last but not least, guys, apparently Joytoy, I don't know if this has been something that's been going on, but Joytoy has a clothing line, I guess, or maybe this is a custom. Correct me if I'm wrong, so I can give the right people the right credit for doing this, but I do see the Joytoy in the background, so I imagine this is from them. So here we have the Fear 3, and I am going to tell you guys something. One of the things in the pipeline in the future is I'm going to be starting a clothing line, and I'm not sure what that'll exactly entail. That might involve trial mob, that might involve other things, but what would you guys like to see if I were to make, let's say, hats or shirts that have to do with a lot of these figures that we're buying? Is there anything you'd want to see? Would you want like a full body mech like you see here? Close-ups, different shots? Let me know what you guys think so I can try to think about the right strategy for this. But until the next episode, go ahead and enjoy this really cool looking Fear shirt, which I kind of hope I can get my hands on something like this, but I want a fitted one.